Yeah, I just want to say all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Baharakakwadash, Yahweh, the supreme being of the universe, the ancient of days, and his only begotten son, Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, who is the Alpha and Omega. All praise is due to all our Akyam, our sincere Akyam, laboring in the truth, the brothers of Great Millstone, and the other like-minded brothers like myself. To you I say Shalom. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth, and to all our sincere Aquathium, our sisters, listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. The topic for this lesson is going to be the men of the Lord are the avengers of the truth, right? And we can liken the men of the Lord unto the Avengers, superheroes. You understand me? I say? Because the men of the Lord have been given the superhuman ability, to digest and to teach this truth. You understand? And that is why day after day, we grow more and more thankful to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai that he has bestowed upon us the superhuman ability to comprehend and to teach this 100% doctrine according to the Bible. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushai knows all his 144,000 superheroes, if you will, which we hope to be a part of. We don't say we are, but we hope to be, whom he has bestowed his heavenly knowledge upon. With some of these men are currently resting in the spiritual realm, and the rest of them are here on earth fulfilling their lots as a prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai in these end times. And those are the men who will be marked with the Tawa, that spiritual mark, to be spared from what? The coming judgments and tribulation. And we can just get that in the book of Ezekiel real fast. Chapter 9 and verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst, just getting to the point, of the city, throughout the midst of Jerusalem. I will know Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. And right now, the Israelites are scattered. The Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And then you have the ones likened unto the speckled birds who look like other nations, but their forefathers go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You understand me? I say? So Jerusalem right now is Israel scattered through the four corners of the earth. And set a mark upon their foreheads of the men that cry, of the men that sigh, Salakia, and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Yeah. And how are these men sighing and crying? Every day we wake up with oppression, when we see two men holding on together, in our head, what I mean? We're like, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Oh boy, man. You know what I mean? And we're crying out by doing these lessons. You understand? We're crying out by prophesying. You understand what I say? Because we need to get the hell up out of this place. You understand me? I say the current world right now as it is defiled. It's in a very defiled state. You understand? So Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to send the angels to put a mark upon the forehead of all the men who are prophesying, all the men of his men who are sighing and crying for all the abominations that are going on the earth. You understand? You see, each one of the men of the Lord possess different traits and gifts, that make them unique. You understand? Case in point, the Avengers, who are superheroes. You should know that movie. Well, if you don't, then the Avengers is a superhero movie, And in the Avengers, each superhero has their own skill sets and powers that are unique to them. You understand? So even though they differ in abilities, they all differ in abilities, at the end of the day, all of the superheroes with their different abilities are working towards the one common goal, which is to do what? Which is to defeat the villain that's in the movie. You understand? All of them working together. Likewise, in this truth, the men of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai were given different gifts. See? And that carried me to what? The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I'm going to read verse 4 and 6 right now. Just getting to the point. Now, there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. See, go back to that difference. You see me? In the Avengers, all the heroes have different abilities, but they have the one common goal to bring down the villain. Same thing in the truth. You understand? Different, diverse gifts, but the same Spirit. Spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. See? The same Lord. One common goal. Verse 6. and there are diversities of operations, but it is the same power which worketh all in all. Can I get no more plainer than that, man? You see me? Or we can go down to verse 8 and 12, where it lists out some of the gifts. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit. See? To another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, and another the interpretation of tongues. And this tongues is not talking about that's not what it's talking about. The word tongues literally mean go back to language. If you're going at the Greek, you understand. But all these worketh that one and the self same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. Verse 12. For as the body is one, and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Hamashiach. Exactly, all of them are one. Different diverse gifts, all of them carrying out the same purpose. Rolling in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Glorifying Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You understand what I say? And also, different brothers were given different measures of the fruits of the Spirit as well. You understand? The fruits of the Spirit. You can get the book of Galatians. Book of Galatians. Come on, really? My finger was on it, so lucky. Okay, so I want Galatians chapter 5, verses 22, 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. Right? And let's get the meaning of the word temperance. And here we have the word temperance in the Greek.
Strong's G 1466. Ekrateia. Ekrateia.
Ekrateia. And it means what? Self-control. And you go down here, it don't give much, but it says self-control. That's pretty much a point. You understand? So we have a lot of brothers in this truth, who some brothers have more self-control than some. You understand me I say? So you have some brothers who can do without a woman, but then you have some brothers who, them love get the loving from them ladies. Them love get the loving. You understand me I say? So them acquire wives, and it is what it is, So some brothers also have stronger faith than some. And you have some brothers, no matter how you try, you can't outgive them. Some brothers are just gifted with giving. You understand? So we are all diverse in this truth. You feel me? And another thing to note is that the elect men of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai come from different walks of life. Each man with his own story. You understand? Just like how every Avenger, every superhero in the Avengers series has their own backstory, with how they got their powers. Likewise, the men of the Lord, the men of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, have their own personal experience, and their own personal testimonies, as to how they were led to the truth. For example, you have Spider-Man, right? After Spider-Man was bitten by the radioactive spider, he noticed that there were subtle changes, subtle signs that pointed to him being different, Like, for example, if you watch the movie, you notice that he had hair-like structures on his hands, so he was able to climb walls. He could jump higher. He wake up in the morning and he look at himself in the mirror. He realized that he was a bit more buff, increased instincts, and so on. And all of these happenings led to what? Him becoming the amazing Spider-Man. Likewise, when we examine ourselves and we examine our lives, we are going to realize that there were always certain subtle signs that we were being molded and groomed for something that is beyond what we understood. When I was younger, I used to see chariots at night in the sky, and I never knew what they were. I would gaze on them, for minutes until they disappeared, but I felt drawn to them and I didn't know what they were. What else? When I was 8 years old, I had an affinity for the Bible. I was always going into the Revelation stories, the My Book of Bible story. You know what I mean? I was always reading Bible stories when I was younger. I always felt out of place with normality, you know? I always felt I was different, and people used to mock me for it, right? And that led to me being what? A member of the hopeful elect with a chance to receive salvation. So I always knew when I reflect on my life, you know, and I look at my past and what I've been through, I could see where Yahweh Hashem Yahushai was prepping me for the truth. And every brother has that experience, you know what I mean? And hence, every man has his own part, period. See me? So even though the Avengers are one unit, each hero has to depend on his own skill sets to contribute to bringing down the villain, you know? Iron Man cannot use Hulk's abilities, and vice versa. And Thor cannot use Doctor Strange's time manipulating ability. You know, they just can't, because individual contribution to the faith is inevitable. Zin, we are all individuals. You see me? The narrow path is a narrow path for a reason. No brother can hold your hand side by side and walk your path for you. You're gonna have to walk that path by yourself. You understand? And that's where you're gonna have to depend on your own skill sets and abilities that were given to you through the Spirit. You understand? Let's get the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 7, verse 14. This is Yahushua speaking. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Exactly, the way is narrow. You know what I mean? If you try to walk a narrow path, if you are walking on a narrow path and somebody is coming, one of you have to shift out the way for the other one to pass. You see me? The path is just simply narrow. Two persons can't walk it. Every man out, you have to walk it individually. You understand? Straight up. So the narrow path, it requires individual effort to deem yourself a true hero, or in the case of the lesson, a true avenger in the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And that's all I had in the spirit. That's pretty much what I wanted to bring out. The point has been made. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. All praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Dash. Shalom Israel.